All right, former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, the latest target of a very politicized justice system being dismantled for their gain. In Washington, a jury ordering Giuliani to pay an absurd $148 million in damages to Georgia election workers Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss for defamation. If you watch any MSNBC, you know these names. It's all they talk about. The pair blamed Giuliani for alleged death threats and racist attacks after Giuliani alleged that they were engaged in election fraud in the state of Georgia in the 2020 election. Here is Giuliani after the verdict on Friday.
The absurdity of the number merely underscores the absurdity of the entire proceeding, where I've not been allowed to offer one single piece of evidence in defense, of which I have a lot. So I am quite confident when this case gets before a fair tribunal, it'll be reversed so quickly that'll make your head spin, and the absurd number that just came in will help that, actually.
So he's talking about just the ridiculousness of the verdict in general. Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss originally asked for $24 million apiece in compensatory damages, which I'm sure they thought was very high. This D.C. jury awarded them an extra $100 million, including $75 million in punitive damages. Mayor Giuliani joins us tonight to talk more about this. Sir, it's good to have you on. You've got two election workers from Georgia. You got a case in Georgia. Why was this in Washington, D.C. in the first place?
Because it's because you know that a Trump person can't get a fair trial in D.C. You can see that with all of the January 6 cases. Yeah. I think any responsible lawyer, including many that I talked to, told me that I couldn't get a fair trial there, and I didn't.
You're being sued. They're suing you again. There's a second lawsuit being filed.
Right.
In federal court. They're not seeking more damages. They want a gag order that prevents you from repeating what they say are false claims.
Well, that sounds kind of un-American, doesn't it? I mean, that's prior restraint. It's are they actually going to put a gag on me when I walk around? Is that, I mean, this bears no relationship to my learning in law school about the First Amendment, the right of free speech. Right. Even the idea that when you're a public person, these people were public officials, you have a certain range in which you can have opinion and discussion. Plus, I got no chance to put in a defense one. This is the only case I ever heard of. I was not able to put it in a defense on liability because they determined liability because I didn't turn over some financial records, which had nothing to do with liability. So I don't know how you can figure out liability. I turned over 1,000 documents. Plus, I sat for a 5-hour deposition. So I hardly didn't comply. But the judge jumped at that and said, you're guilty, not based on the evidence, based on some financial records having to do with my divorce, I think. And the reason I hesitated on that was I wanted a protective order because the people running this case are running it for Biden. The lawyer was a law partner of Hunter Biden's at Boy Schiller. He represented Burisma, the corrupt Ukrainian company. They must have spent $4, $5, $6 million on this case. They don't have it. They had 8 lawyers in the courtroom. We had 1. They had about another 8 working on it. We had 1. This was tried like it was the AT&T case, and they served interrogatories about this high, and I answered them. And when we got, and a lot of them had to do with other cases. They were trying to get information that would help other cases because I'm sure they're in coordination with other Biden-brought cases, like Hunter Biden's case that was brought against me. So we were seeking protection. The judge never gave us that protection and just went ahead and decided that I was guilty, not based on any evidence, but based on the fact that I didn't turn over some financial documents. I've never heard of that. Nor do I think it can be upheld on appeal.
You obviously believe that you're not guilty in the case. Can you tell us why?
Well, first of all, they never put in a piece of evidence that I was. She decided it based on my not turning over financial documents. Number two, I had evidence that I wanted to present both on liability and then later on damages. We wanted to present the evidence to show that I had a basis for what I said. A very detailed tape recording, another detailed tape recording, several witnesses, a report done by the Georgia Senate.
Do you allege that
none of it in.
Your allegations, your initial allegations, you still believe them to be true?
Yeah, well, of course they'll sue me again for it when I say that, but yeah, I do. But they want me to lie. They basically are suing me in order to lie for them. I'm sorry, I can't do it. If I showed you the evidence right now, and I think you've played it on your air, people would see that what I said was absolutely true, and there's support for it. And the most important thing is, it doesn't have to be absolutely true; it has to be supportable. They have to prove that I was deliberately lying, which I wasn't. I had all this material that I based it on. So, and never got a chance to make that defense to the jury. This was the most outrageous case I've ever heard of.
I mean, obviously the verdict and the damages are utterly absurd. I mean, $148 million is an indication of exactly what this court case looked like. I'm still trying to figure out why it was in Washington to begin with.
It was in Washington because you can get an unfair trial in Washington.
Yeah. And I get that. Why I don't understand is how they're trying to justify it. But I guess they don't really have to in this current system that we have. And Mayor, we appreciate you.
It's a fascist system run by the Biden regime. They've turned the court system into a two-tier system of justice. A two-tier system of justice is, by definition, injustice.